just getting mad cause I got me some baby. Soldier boy, I'm in it. Why me crank it? Why me roll? Why me crank that soldier boy? That Superman that now why me crank that soldier? Now why me crank that soldier? Now why me crank that soldier? Now why me get down.
Welcome to Goblins of Discord. This video is on the middle instinct, and I already talked a lot about the instincts in the dominant instinct video, so I will be kind of more focusing on how the middle instinct is sort of like the superpower instinct, or maybe like how you can use it to manifest more of what you want in your dominant instinct. I just dropped a new service, so basically you can find it on my Ko-Fi page, but it's for if you want to retype somebody you know without their permission. Or you can get their permission. Don't use it for malevolence. Please do not use it on mentally ill people. I don't need to deal with that. It's for fun, all right? It's for fun. There's always like somebody in the groups that you're like, they're not really that type. So if they have a video, a public video, semi-public video, I don't want to do, don't be implicating me in any crimes, please. Then yeah, send me their stuff and I'll record a little roast video retyping them. I might agree with their self-typing, just as an FYI, but anyways, all the info is on my Ko-Fi page. And yeah, my live typing calls are off the menu till January. I'm burned out, can't do them. So, but I can do the introvert typings, and they're on sale for the next few days still. So you can pick that up if you want. Okay, middle instinct. So, as I mentioned in the dominant instinct video, it's like related to like the struggle. So the middle instinct is sort of like, what struggle? Like it might be the area that somebody feels like a little bit more confident in. Not to say that they won't have struggles or disruptions or times of like terror in their middle instinct, which would be social, self-pres, or sexual. But they're like potentially more lackadaisical in the middle instinct and like less concerned with consequences. It can feel like energizing towards the dominant instinct, like in small doses. And it's more like low stakes and loose. It's not as catastrophic feeling as the dominant instinct, which is more like tied to your identity and like how you navigate in the world, how you see yourself, the water you swim in. And like the last instinct is kind of more high stakes and catastrophic in the sense that it's like awful and like you don't really want to experience it and you'd rather avoid it if you can and like outsource it. The other day I got like what was it called, CoStar or the pattern or whatever it's called. I got like a pop-up that said amateurs have more fun, and I was like, oh, this is kind of like applies to the middle instinct, because it's like where your ego is less invested in the narrative. Therefore it kind of like actually holds more potential inner power for you because you're not concerned with having power, if that makes sense. It's like lower stakes while still being accessible and compelling and rewarding, unlike the last instinct. So some of this is stuff that I already sort of posted peppered around on maybe Substack or Instagram or Tumblr or something. So the middle instinct is like take it, leave it, wine it, dine it, 69 it, nails emoji. The middle instinct is arguably the most neutral. It doesn't threaten your identity or security or comfort zone, like quote unquote. And like the comfort zone doesn't mean where you're comfortable. It's just like where you feel the most comfortable existing, where it's like, I can't leave this zone. This is the zone, even if it's like awful, which is the dominant instinct. And also because of this, like the middle instinct is you're like in less of a state of resistance to it as a baseline. So this helps you with manifestation because the less you like this kind of, I don't know if you're not into manifestations, might be news to you, but The less you need or fixate on something or try to control the outcome or desire it like in this way where it's like it needs to be this or I'm gonna die, or like I have to have this thing or I'm gonna die, which is more like the dominant instinct, or it can be the last instinct when you're in a crisis in order to get back to the dominant instinct. Um, then it's like easier to manifest when you're not in that energy, and that's more the middle instinct realm, because your casualness makes it easier. So it's like because you're the way that you I probably have another video on my channel. I had it on an old channel that I've unlisted, but I'm pretty sure I have videos, older videos about these topics, maybe in like a self-work playlist or something. But it's like how you see yourself, like your identity, your beliefs, which are directly tied to your core personality type and instinct, um, is kind of your dominant state. And the outer reality mirrors your dominant state and how you see yourself and how you see the world in relation to yourself. So that's where it's really high stakes, and that's where you're gonna like not really actually see what you're doing because it's the walls of the box. Um, and you don't know that you're in the box. It's like the fish doesn't know it's in the lake. I mean, maybe a smart fish does, I don't know, but it's the self-aware fish does, okay? But it's like you usually don't actually know that these constructions are around you because it's the lens with which you're looking out of. It's your eyeball lens. Like you don't see the lens, you see through the lens. It's really early. Um, and so because the dominant instinct is where the most importance is, it can become stagnant. It can become like a loop, like a dead end, like sort of just repetitive Groundhog's Day over and over and over and over again. Especially if you're not like integrating the other instincts, if you're not like if you're low health levels. And also like I'm gonna make other videos about this, but I really think like when your personality type's needs are not being met in external reality, that's when people slip into low health. And I think that that's literally when they become like mentally ill in terms of like what people classify, like psychologists or what the psychiatric world. I really think it's just people's personality types manifesting on lower health levels because their needs are not being met, or they're existing in a reality that does not support like their thriving as that personality type. Anyways, that's I know that's like a bit of a controversial topic, but the last instinct, which is like the repressed instinct, and it's either like you're just like not into it, so you kind of just avoid it, or you have negative association to it, so you try to avoid it again, or like you just don't want to deal with it, which creates resistance, which then means that like you're creating like again a manifestation. It's like you're creating a polarity where it will then swing back, and you'll have to deal with it times like 50 because you're avoiding it. It's like a person who like never cleans their room or does their laundry or anything, and then suddenly it's like oh, your apartment's flooding, and like oh my God, why are there like bugs in my clothes? I have no underwear. They're out of all the underwear at the dollar store. Ah! Anyway, middle instinct, you feel more neutral, lower resistance. So therefore, again, like faster results with manifestation and identity shifts. You can more, I think, quickly like you're still gonna be doing your personality type, but I think like the middle instinct, you can sort of make alterations a little bit more easily. So if you're like playing with self-work, if you're kind of like I do a lot of like human experiments on myself, like behavioral experiments, like what if I try this? What if I try that? Like, because I'm genuinely trying to like change my life. So I'm invested in kind of A/B testing my own emotional landscape and outcomes. Sexual middles, so just like for example, sexual middles can throw out sparks. So that would be social sexual or self-pres sexual. So, like, look, you already have to know what I'm talking about to get this, I suppose. This is not a beginner-friendly video. Watch the first one. I don't know. Social middles can tap into networks and connections, and self-preservation middles can get some of that consistency and tangible outcomes. The dehydrated nutrient powder and throw some sexual or social, spit it and spit into it and shake it up, make a spit, sweat, and hard work horcrux to act as a lure for your sexual or social desires. Um, like make a dancing homunculus, but don't look too hard, if you know what I mean. I don't really know what I was writing here. I think I wrote this on my phone. while I was walking. But it's like, I don't know. I just feel like the self-presence is just so horrible. It's like you do have to like zhuzh it up. You gotta spit on it. You gotta lubricate it. You gotta give it a little foreplay to get what you want. Because the middle instinct appears to possess the most lightness, not the high stakes fixation, nor the one being avoided or ignored. It's easier to channel change and momentum through. Therefore, it holds the most potential for exploitation. All right, Laura, so you already said this 50 times. The dominant instinct is the most difficult place to manifest potentially. If you're stagnant and you're fixated, especially like if you're like right now, you're like, I feel so stuck, Larissa. It's probably because you're stuck in your dominant instinct or you're stuck in your last instinct. Especially if you're like a bit older. Like I don't think that happens as much to like if you're like younger because you haven't like hit that wall yet. But I think especially if you're self-pres last, eventually you hit that wall and then like self-pres comes to like literally beat your head in, crack your skull open with a sledgehammer. Um, because like because and wherever you're having like this sort of collapse or catastrophe or stagnancy, it's usually because you're like stuck in like a pendulum. So it's like you've gone too far in one direction and it can feel like I don't even know how to get back to the middle, or it's like you feel it's like almost like I think when people go hard into their lines, like their personality types lines, where it's like, for example, seven might go hard line to one where they become overly disciplined, overly aesthetic, like sober, like da da da, and then that backfires because they went too hard in that direction. So it's like the middle instinct, I think, kind of like helps, like I said, like lubricate the process to make moving out of stagnation and resistance easier. And this is sort of a topic I'm going to be exploring more on this channel because this is what I've personally been going through my own transformation in my life. And it's what I like want to coach people on. So self-sabotage, resistance, um, manifestation in the sense of like controlling internal narratives to start creating external world that you actually want to be in. Um, And like, I think also it's like the last instinct can be a place where you accidentally manifest negative outcomes because you ignore it, avoid it, or disregard it. And you only pay attention or try to deal with it when like a crisis happens. So it's like the first few times that happens, you might be able to like manifest a solution because like people swoop in to help you. And I'm like speaking sort of more for like self-pres last. I don't know the sexual last have these same kind of high stakes crises in their last instinct. Um, Unless it's like a marriage collapse or something, but like that's kind of different as well. Or it's like the midlife crisis, maybe. Where was I going with this? But it's like the cycle of avoidance in the last instinct is kind of the reason that you manifest negative outcomes, or it's like you manifest like unhinged outcomes, I think. Like, for example, like I used to manifest, so I stopped manifesting a long time ago. I had to like stop because I got really scared because I was like always broke. And so then I would manifest like accidents. Like I would literally manifest accidents where people would have to pay me. So it was not good. I was like, oh, I'm gonna end up getting killed at some point doing this. Because like that's the only way I thought I could really manifest like money. Unconsciously, this is how it was. So Superman that hoe. So how do you like actually manifest with your middle instinct, lady? So yeah, if again, like your dominant instinct, assuming you're even like self-typing accurately, but the thing is you have all three instincts regardless. So if your dominant instinct world feels like dead, decaying, stagnant, suffocating, horrible, empty, how can you use your middle instinct to jumpstart it? So like for example, social middles, they're more deftly able to move people around like chess pieces, network without networking, socially puppeteer without getting too tangled in the strings themselves because it's like less high stakes. It's like that person didn't like me, whatever. They're not as invested in their social image or sustaining connections, which gives them kind of more social latitude. So it's like social middles are kind of better able to just sort of jump from like group to group maybe, or I mean social sexuals do that too, but I think it's like you can kind of just more swing swing into situations that might benefit you socially without overthinking things or putting too much significance or weight on how people see you, how people react to you, people not talking to you, not responding to you, not being invited to this group thing or that group thing. So social middle, so self-pres social or sexual social can just like put themselves out there more. That's basically how you can feed the dominant instinct. Is sort of just like lackadaisically networking, where you're just sort of going into it with the intention of like, I'm just gonna like meet people and then have like a vague intention of what. So like for like self-pres doms, that might be like making more money, getting a job, or I don't know, finding the perfect lamp. um, Networking with plumbers, like creating your network of like self-pressed people that can help you during an apocalypse. Um, and also like building an audience for like your SP skill, I guess, maybe like utilizing your networks of other people, leveraging other people's audiences. Um, like I know that what I'm saying is like skewed to my own personal agendas and fixations. So I know that sometimes people don't like how I describe the social instinct because they think it's too like social imagey or something, or like too um orientated towards like, I don't know, public perception or something. I know that there's like belonging and all of this other stuff. So, but I feel like that's more attachment stuff. So, and I'm not an attachment type. So I'm sorry, like I'm not speaking to it as much because I don't really get it either. Um, and using and if you're like sexual dom, you can use your networks and audience and clout to harvest infatuations. You can triangulate the fuck out of your audience. You can triangulate the fuck out of all your social groups and just have the best time ever. Feed that sexual instinct um, until you just elevate until you're just having the most transcendent experience in the sky. Um, so yeah, again, like you can kind of like lean into, I guess, like SPSO's the community aspect, the growth aspect. So you can like, I don't know, start finding people to help you build your community garden or whatever. And then you can also use your social networks to become more magnetic as a sexual type because you can get invites to things, and for social doms appear more socially valuable to like the threes and the attachment types and whoever. Okay, so self-pres middles. This is just scratching the surface of what's possible. I'm cooking up other things. I'll be going more deeply into this topic later. Self-pres middles can use their agility with finances, muscle maxing, protein powdering, I don't know, nutrient licking, their skill building, their skills, their bricklaying, their pig farming, to increase power in the dominant instinct, so social or sexual. Because like I kind of see self-pres as like competency, the competency instinct. It's like the independence instinct. Because even like I've noticed even like a lot of self-pres social nines are very like independent. Like they like to have their own businesses, or they often like to sort of have their own thing going on, or eventually get to that point, I think. So yeah, and you can use those things to improve your social standing because you have like skills that set you apart, or yeah, these kind of like self-pres talents that might be seen as like more interesting or valuable, desirable to self-pres doms. And then it improves like your social standing or your desirability. If you're like a sexual self-pres, it's like using the self-pres instinct to highlight. So it's like a sexual self-pres I know, she like uses a lot of like physical adornments to sort of like zhuzh up her allure, I suppose. um and it can like be like literal physical manifestations of baubles and whatnot, um to create like a little bit more like intrigue, or like when you're going out into the world, like peacock feathers, if you will, is what I think is sometimes said about sexual instinct. I think it's more with sexual self-pres than sexual social, because I think sexual social is more using energy and like personality to hook people than baubles, but whatever. Self-preservation middles can, I think, seemingly build empires as an afterthought almost when they turn their attention to self-pres world of bricks, pennies, and sweat equity. So I see that as social self-preses especially. I've noticed that like some social self-preses I know, like they just kind of like fell upward. Like they just sort of built a thing, like they were building a thing intentionally, but it was also just sort of like they weren't doing it with the intention and focus and goal orientation and task orientation as like a self-pres dom would be like knocking off their checklist. It's more they're just sort of like cultivating this empire growth. They're not as invested. Self-pres middles are not as invested in the stability, and also like they're more leveraging like social connections to build the empire. So it's like the offshoot, the byproduct of their socializing and networking and being like kind of belonging to a specific tribe or group, or like especially like in career and stuff. It's like is they build something in the self-pres world. Self-pres middles are not as invested in stability and concrete sustainability. Therefore, they're better able to pivot, innovate, alchemize tangible efforts. Um, and like also like sexual is a disruptive instinct. So having self-pres middle, they're probably less unhinged than like a sexual social, having sexual self-pres, like they will have some sort of skill set that they can use to make money or support themselves on some level more likely than like a sexual social. Um, I mean, this is reductive, obviously, but I also feel like a lot of social lasts are kind of crazy. So I've seen like I think sexual self-preses and self-pres sexuals to a degree can blow up their lives with sexual stuff, but they because they have self-pres in their type, they're still there's still going to be some sort of like, okay, I gotta rebuild. I gotta get my shit together like a little bit more rapidly, I think, than a self-pres last would, who might reach a more collapsed state for rolling around in glitter, crying. I think a social last will be more likely to dust themselves off and all right, well, I'm gonna move forward even though I'm like grimy and dripping with cum. I'm so sorry. I don't know why I thought making a video bright and early in the morning would be a good idea. I'm too close to the sleep state. Self-pres, self-pres middles as your gateway, as your manifestation gateway, self-pres middle. Um, so that can be like also related to making your lifestyle better. Like they social self-preses often have like those lifestyle photos where it's like they look more like magazine-y, you know, like in their Instagram and stuff like that. Um, they're probably like actually it's funny, but I think the self-pres lasts are often better decorators. But now I'm saying that actually I think that like social lasts and self-pres lasts. So actually I think the sexual instinct sometimes can make people better decorators. But hmm. But I think that like so the social self-pres aesthetic is sort of more magazine-y, you know what I mean? It's more like lifestyle magazine. So that can be beneficial, I suppose, like if your life looks like a coffee table book. I think I don't know if like a Manza on Selling Sunset is sexual self-pres or self-pres sexual. I feel like she's one of those, and she's got her own very specific aesthetic and style decorating and all this stuff. So I think that there is this, she could be sexual self-pres, where there is this sort of looseness around self-pres where you can create like a beautiful environment. Um, and it would be like probably more like dignified or elegant with social self-pres, and with sexual self-pres, it's more like specific and chaotic and like otherworldly or like magical feeling maybe, but like kind of underworldy a little bit maybe. You can also I think like maybe social self well no I'm lying actually because if you get a social self pres 6 wing 5 or something they're gonna be a miser regardless, but I think social self preses can also just be like less psychotic with their money, depending on what the rest of their type is. And again, like self-pres can manifest more easily, I think, for self-pres middles. Like self-pres outcomes, like related to stability, wealth, like body stuff, even maybe, like if they decide to put their mind to it, like maybe because they're not like freaking out, like bodybuilding, drinking tuna and water, and then giving themselves like mercury poisoning and like shrinking their dick and stuff. So like social self-pres is probably more likely to like go to like Equinox or something and like get a Pilates bod and then make friends that can help them in some other realm. I'm just making this up as usual. Sexual middles can use their spark, fire provocations to increase power of dominant instinct. Example, using attraction and intrigue to make money. So self-pres dom, creating foundations or access more impressive, interesting social networks. Because like social sexuals, I think like come in with sort of like a bit of a high energy, sort of like a fun pixie, bring bring the party sort of vibe to things. And so then sometimes people want to invite them to parties, but it can backfire too if the person's like a lush or unpredictable, not speaking from experience. Sexual middles mindlessly throw out lures. Well, not mindlessly, but you know, like they just casually throw out lures, pulling the fish in for a sniff and then tossing them back in the river, bleeding from their lips when they lose freshness. Sexual middles are not as invested in the inferno immersion, romantic terrorism, and sub soap opera level penetration, which gives them more playful riz and accessible intrigue to use to lure people into the dominant instincts pit. So, like, I think like sexual doms can become like hyper competitive and controlling about their partners and like psychotically like fixated on on that connection and like tattooing their name on their chest and like showing up at their work and like just getting really hooked in, where I think like sexual middles can sort of like mm, they get more of what they want, I think, in that realm sometimes, because there's like I'll lean in and then I'll lean out and like I'll, you know, like I said, like really in, toss you back out, take it or leave it, honey. Like this is fun for me kind of attitude. So sexual middles, so again, self-pres sexual, social sexual can use sexual chaos energies, lures, and instability to enhance the experience of the dominant instinct. So like a self-pres sexual might try dancing as close to the sun as they can without burning down their mud house of cards, without burning down their mud hut. Um, a social sexual might be more easily undone by their tricks, because social is already kind of an unstable element. Like I said in like the previous video, it's like the most unstable, the most unstable people are sexual, and then social, and then self-pres. Because I think that like social is sort of social's uncontrollable. I just feel like sexual is the least controllable, social's in the middle, self-pres is maybe the most controllable on some level because there's like a tangible thing you can wrap your hand around. But social, you can't really control another person. You can't really control what other people are doing or thinking or perceiving, even though you might try, especially if you're social dom. But so social doms can be a little bit undone by their own like tricks if they're sexual middle, but they might still find a way to like make it work in their favor, with charm and stuff because they got the Riz factor. Um, yeah, and so sexual middles are more using like the death drive and intrigue as like an appetizer instead of a main course. So it's like there's still an element of, I don't know if stability is the right word, but there's still an element of like, okay, this person's not gonna completely go insane and burn it all down. They might dance close to it, but they'll probably stop themselves at some point. Um, so yes, and it's also creative, the creative instinct. And again, I don't really like to like, even though it is the creative instinct, I think it confuses people, but it's like leaning into that like heightened insane asylum state creatively can yield explosive results. I've been meaning to retype Florence Welch. I don't know why I typed her self-pres social. That's ridiculous. I think she's a sexual dom. And like if you look at her concert footage, it's just insanity. It's like she's literally energy harvesting. She's energy harvesting her fucking audience. And so I don't know why I'm using her as an example for sexual middle, but it's like she's a good example of like the sexual instinct with creativity where she's just kind of like unhinged. She's like diving off the diving off her stage, like cutting her fucking feet up, like breaking her legs, like or whatever, breaking things. But it's like she's so given herself over to like the passionate creative flow that I feel like she's such a good example of sexual instinct as creativity. I think is her book called Chaos Magic or something like this? Maybe that's not what it's called, but it's something in that realm. And I feel like that perfect, like that she personifies that. So yeah, this is an unofficial retype of Florence Welch being sexual dom because it's like you can create like an energetic fire that like spreads like a like it like especially I should probably sexual social and it like spreads outwards. Like you can kind of start fires with the sexual instinct where it's like you're almost turning other people on. Like you're it's like they're like in their like matrix pod and then it's like you flip the switch and then everyone's sort of like activated. It's like woo. So I think like sexual middles have access to that, but they're it's not going to be like their like energetic frequency that they're floating on like a magic carpet ride. It's like a magic carpet they can like jump on when they feel like it. And so that can be used creatively, obviously. Self-pres sexuals are probably better able at channeling that actually because they have self-pres, so they can like tangibly outcomeify the. I gotta go in a second. If you are sexual middle, then it can unlock like erotically kind of unlock your dominant instinct because it's like you're almost like able to use the sexual instinct to seduce what you want into the social instinct into the self-pres instinct. It's like so like SPSX for example is like um can use that allure to like make more money. They can use that allure to create a more appealing environment, like create more stability. It's like they can maybe hook a rich man with their hot sexiness, spider vixen motif, to make sure their silk press bag is met, or um, like social sexual can use it to create more fire, to get more connections, to get more invites to parties. You know, it's like a little flirt here, a little flirt there. I don't plan to follow through. Invite me to all the parties though. Anyways, this was maybe a bit of a superficial take, but I'm on time constraint and I'll be going deeper into all these subjects in the coming months. So my question to you is, are you exploiting or even noticing your innate talent in the middle instinct? Like, are you even aware of the fact that you do have this sort of access that other people with it as a dominant instinct don't? Like, it's actually better to, people idealize certain instincts, like the sexual instinct especially. It's like, you don't want to be a sexual dom. Like, from people that I know who are sexual doms, it's like very, it's very disruptive and very, I think it's like very hard to like exist in this reality when you're a sexual dom versus if you're a self-pres dom. Like self-pres doms actually have it easier in many ways. So unless you're like a self-pres six and you're just like constantly like picking your Morgellons out of your skin and like taking all kinds of weird things and getting all weird disease fixated. But could you unlock something more desirable in your current reality by temporarily shifting your focus to your middle instinct and mining possibilities? Um, yeah. So just like, I don't know, have a little fun with it. Maybe journal on it. How can you implement more of your middle instinct, or maybe just like try it out as an experiment today when you go out into the world or online or something. Throw out a little middle instinct at somebody and see what happens. Goodbye.